You're listening to the Moose and the Loose, your 10 minutes action-packed financial podcast with your host, Mikey Hu. Hey, what's up, Market Moose? I hope that you are doing well. This is Mike from the Moose on the Loose. Happy Monday. Today, I want to share some great news about my portfolio. Actually, I've been on Blossom that's a social network about investing, actually. So that's pretty cool. Founded by Canadians. So I've been trying this one, being a little more and more active on this. I find it a little bit less toxic than X, actually. So less people arguing for nothing. Anyways, so I've been on that for a while, and I also transferred my Lira account and my RSP to Wealthsimple during their last promotion earlier this year. Why I'm telling you this? Well, because on Blossom, and you can follow me at the Dividend guy. So again, not super easy to find, right? It's just super easy to find, right? It's just like the Dividend guy pretty much everywhere on social media. And the reason why I'm talking about that is because those two accounts are at Wealthsimple. They are being verified and tracked by Blossom. And I recently hit the great milestone of having a value of $500,000, so $500K, officially verified. So I've been slightly over like $500K with like other portfolios that I have that are not necessarily disclosed everywhere. But those two are part of like the bulk of my investments, of course, and they're in the bulk of like my retirement plan. And yeah, so I got this amazing sum. I'll be turning like 44 later this year, so at the age of 43, super happy about that. Mostly because I've stopped adding capital to my RSP and Lira back at the age of 35. At the age of like right before turning 35, I had a value slightly below $200,000, so 192, and then I stopped contributing because I quit my job. I traveled for 1 year, and then when I came back, I put all my money into Dividend Stocks Rock, my membership website. So if you're curious about it, you can actually take a look at dividendstocksrock.com/income. You'll know more about how I build my portfolio, and you can subscribe to that newsletter. It's 100% free, and you'll know more about DSR as well. So and that was like my best investment ever anyways. But because all my money was going into my business, I had just my strategy and the dividend being paid from those stocks that I had to be reinvested, no more capital. So I wanted to share with you four takes, for getting up to $500,000 by stopping at a relatively early age to get to that point. So the number one is that like planting a tree and waiting for like 20 years analogy is like super real when it comes to investment. And we don't see that. When I started investing in my 20s, I didn't really realize what I was doing. I just knew that this is what the right that was like the right thing to do, but I did not envision like that $500,000 portfolio at this point. It seemed like so far away. You start investing and you're just like, yeah, I put like $400 a month, and you're just like, yeah, it's gonna take me like 5 lives to get to $500,000 portfolio. So I never thought about that. But fast forward today, after it being investing in equity since 2003, so for 22 years and counting. Well, there you go. Boom. Like the magic of compounding interest just happens. So that's a real thing. You just need a lot of patience. Take number 2. What happens in your 20s make a huge difference. And if you're listening to that and you're my age, like in your 40s or 50s, you may be thinking, yeah, well, that's a bit too late, Mike. Well, you can pass that wisdom along to your children or grandchildren. And actually, it's also true if you look in the next 20 years, what's going to happen? Well, everything starts today, right? So what I did in my 20s is I spent roughly 10 years working 2 jobs, adding more diplomas to my curriculum. So I did my I completed my bachelor degree in finance, in marketing. But also did my CFP title to become a financial planner. I also did my MBA in financial services. So I was like going to school, working two jobs, and I built an online hustle at the same time. So it was like more like just fun money at that time, but it was still in the process. So by doing all this, yes, I was working crazy hours, but that gave me enough money to maximize my RSP contribution every single year. I had a pension plan that worked, and I was like working very hard to pay down most of my debt. So back then, we quickly paid our first car. We bought it new. That was not the smart move, but we quickly paid it off, and we kept like one car for two for a long time. I just commuted using like common transportation instead, and that helped us to put money aside and maximize like everything that we could do back then before the age of 35. So I did not get any help from my parents. I did not inherit it of like any sum of money or anything. That was just like hustling for 10 years, putting the money down, and this is how it worked. The number three, my third takes on that is actually I've kept the same investment strategy for the past 15 years, and I'm a true believer that this is why I'm where I am right now. Not because I want to sell you dividend growth investing, but because I stick to one strategy that worked for me. And if you're doing ETFs, if you're doing like momentum trading, if you do whatever you do, that's all fine. I'm not here to debate which strategy is better. I'm just here to tell you that if you are able to stick to the same strategy for decades, you're going to have like so much more returns out of it, because instead of like shifting from one place to another, looking back at the returns and questioning myself, filling my brokerage of dilemmas, instead of like building an investment process with a high level of conviction. Well, 15 years later, I'm super happy that I started this work early in my late 20s to build that investment strategy, understand what I do, and now sticking to it. And I can already tell you that I'm going to stick to that strategy for probably the rest of my life, because it works. I understand it, high level conviction. So whatever happens in the market, I don't really care, because I know that what I do, I'm doing something that is right. Last take on reaching $500,000 before the age of 45 is the market is either overvalued or about to crash, like every single day, all the time. It's kind of crazy, but I started investing in 2003, as I told you. And every single year, people were telling me either, oh, it's not the right time to invest because the market's about to crash, or it's not the right time to invest because the market is overvalued, or the stock that you just bought is overvalued, and you paid way too much for that. And I mean, you're a clown because you're investing while the market is right around the corner of getting destroyed. And that doesn't make any sense to invest right now. Well, I mean, I don't know, like 20 something years later, it's still the same story today, right? We are, again, flirting with all-time high. And a lot of people will tell you, well, this fall is going to be like a big crash, as it was supposed to happen when Trump started with his tariffs in April. And I'm not saying it's not going to happen. I just want to highlight that the end of the world is always around the corner, and there will always be someone telling you that you paid way too much for what you just bought. But if you stay on the sideline for all that time, well, this is probably the worst move that you could make. So trying to find yourself a good strategy, sticking to it, will make a lot more sense moving forward. It doesn't have to be dividend growth investing. Like, that's how I want to invest. Plenty of other strategies work, so that's all good. And as long as you understand what you're doing, and as long as you understand what you own and why you own it, thank you, Peter Lynch, for this one, well, then you'll be good to go. So that's it for today, Moose. I hope that you will enjoy your Monday. Don't forget, we are on a summer schedule, so the next podcast will happen on Wednesday. We're going to take a look at Dominion Lending Center, DLCG.to, a company that to this date I have not heard much about. So it was brought by one of my members. Just curious to see which kind of information I'm going to look at here. So that should be quite interesting. All right, so we're going to talk again on Wednesday, and until then, don't forget to stay invested. Hey, welcome to the disclaimer. If you're listening to The Moose and the Loose, you cannot really expect me to give you buy or sell recommendation or financial advice, right? You're here for fun, you're here for information and some entertainment. But I am not your financial advisor, I am not your broker, so therefore I'm not liable if you're losing money after listening to the podcast. If you're looking for some advice, go see a professional. If not, you can enjoy this show and do your due diligence after it.